Welcome fellow folders to the next episode of How to Get Better at Origami. We're going to be looking at test folding, and what's great about test folding is it allows you to practice basically either a full model, a part of a crease pattern. You can do it multiple times on test sheets of paper that you can allow to basically scrap, and it allows you to figure out problems, parts that you're confused with, you may be stuck, you're not sure how to go about collapsing. So it's a really good practice to try and get into if you want to further improve your origami. So I've got a few examples here, and we'll look through a few methods of doing it. So first of all, we have, I'd never used to do it this way before, printing out the crease pattern, no in fact cutting out the part that you're confused with and on the computer, and then you print it out large. So this is basically what it's like. Normally I would make the grid, pre-crease, and then colour in all the lines. I'll have a picture on the screen of how I did it years ago. That I don't do that anymore because it takes way too long. So it's much more easier and more efficient to cut the part out that you're unsure of on the crease pattern, print it off, cut off the excess paper, make all the creases, and then just follow the lines. Test folding is probably one of the best practices that you can do if you don't already do it, because as I explained just previously, it allows you to practice parts you're unsure of. You can do it as many times as you want. It allows you to problem solve. You can use a test sheet, fold a crease pattern, fold a diagram, and it will allow you to problem solve parts that you think you may get stuck with. I have an example here, basically for the Triceratops by Park Jong-woo, which is this one right here. I've stopped to make a video on this. Super lovely model. I need to do a lot more dinosaurs. But in the pre-creasing, I call this the look ahead method. So what I found out when I was pre-creasing this, I used a test sheet. Basically, before you collapse, this is the creases you make. It's not these ones, but it's an example. So basically, before you start collapsing, this is the creases you make. So I collapsed it with my test sheet. I've done about 20-30 steps. I unfolded it, and then these are the creases I made. These ones here, again, just an example, they're not correct, but the thing is with these, you can easily make these from here. The way the diagram shows it is you need to make these through multiple layers, so that means the creases won't be as accurate. If your paper is the perfect thickness for a dinosaur or an animal of some sort, then you won't be able to get these super precise. So doing a test fold allowed me to see exactly what creases I needed to make. Then I unfolded that. No, in fact, it's already unfolded. I then, on my actual sheet, I pre-creased up to where it told me to start collapsing, and then I pre-creased all of these extra creases, so that way I could get these creases extremely precise and make them mountain and valley folds to what they should be. And then that allowed me to collapse them much more better than how it would tell you to do it. So it's a lot more efficient to do the look ahead method. If you have time, if you have spare sheets that you can test fold, it will save a lot of time, and it will be a lot smoother in folding. You'll be a lot more accurate. I can guarantee you that. So if you've never tried this method, definitely try it. Even try it on this model, or find a diagram, pre-crease a few steps, see if it tells you to make any extra creases, and then make them before, and then see how it is when you fold it with those extra creases. And there should be a big difference, but it just depends on the models. I noticed this right away because it told me to fold through multiple layers, so I thought I'd do a test fold, see what extra creases I make, and then make them before I collapse on my actual sheet. So very good method if you want to try and if you want to try it out. Now, we have 2 test folds here that I done previously. The reason I done these test folds was because, of course, I was unsure of 2 parts on each of them, or 1 on each. We'll look at this one for example. So with me, 99 out of 100 times I can visualise the collapse. From looking at the creases, I can tell what angle they need to be, what to collapse first, and then near enough I can collapse it right away. But for instances, for some, not for the 1 out of, but sometimes I cannot do that, and then that's where a test fold comes in. Because if you try to collapse a model or a part or a step multiple times, what's going to happen is that section of paper is going to start to get weaker because you're constantly using it. You're trying to put it in place, it's not working, you're putting it back. You're trying again, it's not working. You're trying again, it's not working. And then this part's going to get weaker, and then most of the time the paper, the lines start to get softer, they start to get like that fuzzy look, that sort of starting to rip look, that feeling. So test folding helps to prevent that. Also as well, I'll show you. You know what I mean by like that fuzzy feeling? When you make a crease like this, where you have something like that, and then where they all intersect right here. You've probably already noticed this before in models, where lots of creases intersect, the paper tends to be like a different colour because it's starting to get weaker. We have so many intersections in here. Paper starts to get that fuzzy look, and a quick way to prevent that is, if you can, pre-crease like this. So you would make the creases and then stop them right before the centre, and then when you come to use them you can easily finish them off and then quickly collapse them, whereas this may result in a worse case than this. So I always do this, it's so much improvement. Anyway, for this one I could not visualise how these diagonals would collapse. I couldn't visualise how it would actually go about collapsing. Let's move this one out of the way, get to that in a second. So I of course test folded this part, and the good thing with this is I can try as many times as I want. I can print this off again, make the creases and try again. If the paper gets too weak I can do it multiple times, then finally figure it out, and then go to the actual sheet with this pre-creased and do it perfectly. Because it's important that when you collapse a model, you try to get as close to a perfect base as possible. That way it allows you for the full amount of shaping as possible. You don't want to mush fold, you don't want to force creases, you want to try and get as clean as base as possible, so then you have as many possibilities for shaping. And then of course if you want to try and shape to the designer, because more than likely they had a perfect base, so it's important that you get a clean base, and this helps. So just going to quickly collapse this. I can't remember the name of this model, but it's one for my paid page. I'll show a quick preview of the collapsed base. Did you see it? Yes, it's a super fun model. And I can't wait to finish it. So that's that side. And test folding like this is very satisfying, and it's much easier than making the grids, colouring in the creases and then doing it that way. I used to do it that way, and then I realised I could just cut out the part of the crease pattern that I'm unsure of and then collapse it like that. So we basically have this. It does get quite tight in this centre part here. And test folds also give you an example of how hard the collapse may be in terms of trying to collapse it. So, pardon me, I'll give you good practice on what to expect when you actually come to do this in the full sheet of paper that you'll be using. So once I collapsed it like this, I realised I made these all together, made it flat here, and these all together as well. And then with this case, blue is mountain, red is valley fold. So this valley fold lines up with this, so I could tuck that in, and then it also makes the mountain fold here, and then vice versa here. So it's basically like a twist. You're twisting the paper inside, and as soon as I'd done this the first time, it clicked to me, that's exactly how it works. And there we go, that's basically that one side done. And then once I knew how to do this, I then realised that I need to first of all get each set of side layers together, and then try and, I had to have basically a straight angle in order to, because these are all 90-degree creases, or 45, and this is the same, I had to have a straight set of layers before I could do the twist. Then that would allow me to get nicely collapsed. And again, the same on this side. I had all the layers here. I knew how to do it this time, so I was a bit more confident. Then we are mountain fold here. Like that. And then there we go. So once I've done this, I realised that again I need to make sure that I have these creases correctly in place first, and then these ones, and then try and perform the twist so I can get them as accurate as possible, because I want to have the cleanest base possible, so that will give me as much possibilities for shaping as I want. And the only way to do that is get a clean base, and if I wasn't sure how to get a clean base, I would test fold. So test fold 1 was a success. Now test fold 2, the part that I was unsure of this part was these small creases in here. I was fine with everything else, it was just this part I wasn't completely sure of, because I couldn't visualise how they would all collapse together. I knew these parts, this part, everything just except these 4 squares that were confusing me. So instead of trying to attempt it multiple times on my actual sheet, which could potentially wear out the creases, extend the creases to different angles, I'm trying to force it together, it wouldn't give me a clean base, and it may not look as good in the end. So this would help me to not do that. So again, just collapse these ones. So I've done that, then I put these ones in place. so. I'll put these ones in place. Right, basically we're here now. Now, let's see. Yeah, so first thing I done was make mountain, 90 degrees on both sides, fold it over. And then once I done that, I realised the creases, the colours line up, which is good. And then I knew I could fold it over. Again, it's all about looking at the creases. It tells you if you're doing it correct. If all the colours start to line up, then you know you're doing something right. And then from there on, I collapse it. And then we have this last one here, which is just pulling out this layer. Like that. And then once I done this, I was super confident. I knew a sequence to collapse. I knew what to collapse first, what to collapse second, how to do the final collapse, and I was confident that I could get this really clean as well. So 2 test folds, success, and it gave me a real boost of confidence. Yeah, this one as well. It's important that what test folding like this does is it helps you figure out the angles, because we have this large, we have the mountain fold up here first, so we know it's going to be a mountain fold. And then the valley fold is a weird valley fold. There is no straight valley fold going all the way along. So, like, how does that work? So again, test folding helps to figure that out. Again, you collapse the scales as you would as any other scales, and then because of the valley folds, the red ones here, I knew I had to bring the paper. So it is normally like this, but I have to bring it up, and then they all fit together nice and neatly. And then once I'd done that, again, I was confident I could do it perfectly, and so on. So it's important that you do test folding for all those reasons. The main one is to get a super clean base. A super clean base allows you to get the shaping that you want. It opens up many possibilities in shaping, because you have no mush folds, no force folds. You have a completely neutral base, which is perfect for however you want to shape it, whatever shaping you want to add, etc. And you've problem solved parts you're unsure of, you're more confident, and then it's a big step up for doing a crease pattern if you've got all that test folded and practiced and you're confident in what you're going to do. So that is basically this video finished. I hope you learned from it. Definitely test fold parts of models that you're unsure of. I mostly do on crease patterns, not really on diagrams. I'm confident on diagrams. As long as you can pre-crease it perfectly, you're good. Whereas parts like this could be quite confusing to someone who isn't sure of it. Now, yeah, quick explanation on the cutting out the part of the crease pattern. So we have the crease pattern. On the computer, I will load the image into my program called GIMP, which is a free image editing program. Now, just say this part right here. Right here I'm unsure of, so I'll cut this out. And then this will basically be the same size as the crease pattern. And then I'll just print this part big. And then cut off the excess paper, make the creases, and then just practice collapsing. So that's a good thing to do. If you want me to do this, then just ask me. Give me the crease pattern if I've not already got it. Tell me which part. I can cut it out, send you that part, and then so on. Ask me as many times as you want. So I'm more than happy to do that for you. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Sorry I've not been uploading too much. I'm going to be using that as an example of how to be an origami YouTuber in the next episode, or the next upcoming episode. So I'm doing it as an example, so there will be plenty of videos to come. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.